everyone. My name is Bryce Ellis, and I am the creator of Stamina Bar app for Apple Watch. And what Stamina Bar is a way to take your comprehensive health data and it turns it into an easy to understand Stamina Bar. It's kind of like how your phone battery drains throughout the day. It's like that for your actual body. Getting into Stamina Bar wasn't easy or a straightforward journey, but I had to go through quite a couple hardships to get there, but I had to go through them. It started by building projects early on. Before getting into computer science, I was a soccer player. I grew up playing soccer, and what really stood out to me as a soccer player was my ability to run a long time. Wasn't the greatest, but that's what I was known for. And I also knew that I wasn't going to go anywhere to play college soccer, so that was actually a bit heartbreaking for me, but I knew that I was good at math, and I had family members who were studying computer science. So before college, I started learning how to code, and I built projects that just by going on YouTube. I spent a lot of time on YouTube and taking online courses, and I was truly just following along. I was building interesting things, and that led me to my first tech internship in New Jersey. This picture up here was at a mobile app showcase, and I built a fun augmented reality tic-tac-toe game. So building that helped to get the attention of Johnson & Johnson, where I was building augmented reality apps for training nurses and other healthcare professionals how to put together a new spine surgery tool. So instead of them having to get on paper and learn how to assemble this, they could follow step by step of a tool being animated. And I learned a lot there. And one of the things that I really remember and still sticks out to me was Johnson & Johnson was a big health company. They rewarded the employees who, they had a competition in the office where you would mark how many times you're at the gym downstairs, and they would have reward points. And that's something that helped me to enjoy my job. And this is, after that summer, I actually won a company award for the job I did there. So that's me and my manager in the middle. And what really stood out to me with him is I was just getting into running, and he was a track athlete in college. So I was able to connect with him as I was just getting started on my running journey at this time too. In 2019, I just started my first races. I did my first 5K, and then that led to a 10K run, 6 miles, and then all the way up to a half marathon. And truly, after the half marathon, I thought I would never run again. I remember being so dead beat, but it was just a way for me and my older brother to have an activity to do together. And I thought the half marathon would be the furthest either one of us would want to go, but all along, he had planned for us to run a marathon. So later that year, while I was actually in New Jersey, I started training for my first marathon that December, and I eventually went on to do that marathon. And then the following year in 2020, I did all the other races again. I did my 5K up to a half marathon, got into cycling. I literally cycled from one end to Memphis and back several times, doing 100 miles. And then later that year, I was always just eager to do more. So I eventually ran a 31-mile run, which is an ultra marathon. And around this time, I wasn't developing as much, but I needed to find my fit in my niche, because I was still figuring out what exactly I wanted to do. And it was a time where I felt like the goals I wanted to achieve with running were honestly just a bit unrealistic of trying to run a marathon at quite honestly close to an Olympic pace is something I thought was reasonable, but it takes everything out of your body. It's not able to do things like this and have a drink. It's like opportunity cost there. But what I was able to do was use my background in tech to extract all of the runs I've recorded over many years, and I was able to plot that, and I found insights that Nike Run Club was not even able to give me. And I applied that to just the races that I had coming up. Well, I know I may not be able to run a marathon in 3 hours or under, but looking at my data, I thought that I could run a 50-mile race in the 12-hour time limit that it was given. So I was not training for this, but it was kind of do or die. I told myself that I was literally going to do this race or die trying, and I did. And it still to today is one of the best days of my life. Just challenging myself with only 6 days in advance. I said I was going to do this race, looking at the data. It seemed like I could, and I just put my heart to it. And 11 and a half hours of running all day. That's what it took. And that was the first part of finding my niche. At that point, I was able to establish myself as an expert in the endurance industry. And instead of trying to go to the next milestone, which can kind of lead to an endless cycle, what I found more fulfilling is teaching others how I did it. People were asking, how are you able to run so well? And as I was telling you, I was able to, big picture, take all of my health data and make decisions that would put me in a better position to run better. So, like I was mentioning earlier, I started development early on, but I didn't have anything that I was super passionate about working on. So I decided I was gonna build an app, and that's just gonna help people with running. I didn't know what it was gonna look like, but I made a commitment to myself that more or less every day, and I do try it every day, that I'm gonna commit to making progress to the Stamina Bar project. So early on, what I did was market research to see, was the idea out there, was it on Apple Watch, was anyone else doing it? And I learned early on that there's nothing like this on the Apple Watch. However, there's some Garmin, they do some really advanced stuff with what I was doing on my own. There's a startup company that looks at athletes from the top soccer clubs in Europe and will look at their health data, the same stuff that's in Stamina Bar, and giving them insights to help them perform well. And I also learned in my market research that Apple Watch users aren't your typical athletes. People who want to sit down and have a glass of wine but still keep an eye on their health, or me giving a presentation, you can keep an eye on your health so you can know when to calm down, or know that, hey, I have the energy to go on a mile walk today. And in the early stages, I didn't know how to build it. I had the idea of what I wanted to build, but on Apple Watch, there's one Apple Watch developer to every 100, 200 iPhone developers. So I was in a very small niche where I couldn't get all the help I wanted. There wasn't projects to grab inspiration from. It was me just heads down, full-time job after a full-time job, just solving a problem. And eventually I built an MVP that was good enough to say, hey, this is not pretty, but it does the job, and I can show it to other people. And I put it on the App Store. And from there, I was able to get market feedback. So what I did was go to networking events like this. I was at a bar talking to people, or at running clubs, and I was showing off my app, look at this, and I was getting feedback from people too. And the great thing about the app Stamina Bar is first and foremost, I was my own first customer. I had used Apple products and I loved them, but I saw that there was a better way that they could do stuff, so that's where it started. And as I talked to other people, I incorporated their feedback where it was necessary and made changes that people would actually want to use the app. And then over time, I just continued to evolve it. It launched about a year ago today. So in 12 months, there's been about 15 updates. So I'm updating it about once a month and trying to speed up the cadence. And over time, it's come from just your heart rate reader to an app that gives you important information that can help you to stay healthy. Like I can see how my heart rate is doing. I can see how many calories I've burned in a day. And the reason why that's so important is a lot of times people are underfueled themselves, whether you're trying to lose weight or even gain weight. Just having an accurate count of how many calories you're burning and with the accuracy of the stamina bar on Apple Watch, you can make a decision on, maybe if I burn 2,500 calories a day and I haven't eaten much, actually I do deserve a piece of cake. It's decisions like that data can help you to make. And then also just something like steps, you can see how many steps you've taken in a day. And another phenomenon, which is HRV, or heart rate variability, it's the same concepts that Whoop and other of these other health fitness companies are doing to determine your stress levels. So with heart rate variability, you can take in a deep breath, and based on your value, what I've been using it in my life is when people ask me how I'm doing, I'm able to actually use Stamina Bar and use real data to say, well, maybe I am actually feeling a bit stressed today. This is maybe why. Or I could, do my deep breaths and I check Stamina Bar and I have a good HRV score and it's like, hey, I'm actually doing really great today. So that's the information that Stamina Bar gives you at a glance of your wrist. And just where it's at today, it's on the App Store for free, so you can all download Stamina Bar. And as I was mentioning with market research that it's on like the Garmin stuff, one of the first 5-star reviews I've got from a random person was them hearing about the Stamina app on Garmin and then looking on the iPhone store and saying, oh, there is a Stamina Bar for Apple. And that's another reason why being first to market and pushing it out early was really important. And then I encourage all of my other friends just to write what they would like to see improved on the app and so forth. And that is my speech. Thank you all for listening. You can download Stamina Bar.